Humans have always explored different lands. However, in 1972, some 50,000 people with origins primarily from the Indian subcontinent found themselves looking for refuge in another country for a different reason, because they were all expelled from Uganda. Many of them who came to Australia commemorated 50 years of this event by sharing their stories at the special function held at the Australian National Maritime Museum at Darling Harbour in Sydney. The Australian National Maritime Museum was chosen as the venue due to the museum's significant contribution to migration. The arrival of waves of more than 10 million migrants is a foundation narrative of modern Australia, infusing our country with more than 200 different cultural and linguistic traditions. The museum incorporates the National Monument to Migration, previously known as the Welcome Wall, which pays tribute to some 40,000 migrant families, including some from Uganda. This memorable event, attended by families and friends, provided the perfect platform for sharing the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of these Ugandan migrants.
Welcome, family and friends. On behalf of all present, we would like to begin by acknowledging the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the Bummal and Badu, the lands and water on which we meet, and we pay our respects to their elders, both past and present, and to all First Nations peoples.
On behalf of the Chairman and members of the Australians from Uganda 50 Years On Steering Committee, we extend a warm welcome to you all to this historic and milestone event.
So I'm Amita Patel.
And I'm Dr. Lynette Guy of Sardinia.
And we have known each other since our childhood. In fact, we were both among the 50,000 Asians of Indian origin who were expelled together with their families by the notorious Idi Amin in 1972.
Now, when I was a resident doctor, I actually had to put intravenous drip into one of Idi Amin's wives. He had 4 wives and umpteen mistresses and God knows how many children. And when she came in with dehydration, here I am putting a drip, and there was an army security officer with a submachine gun pointed at my head. I don't know what he wanted to do, but boy, did I not miss that vein that day. And when I came to Australia, I never missed an intravenous drip.
On the last day before we left, and I was only 1 at that time, or 2, something like that, Idi Amin came with his soldiers and guns, and all the people just stood in line, and Idi Amin came to greet everyone, to say goodbye, and shook hands with each person. He said, he shook my dad's hand, and he said, "Thank you very much for leaving Uganda." According to my dad, his handshake was strong, and yet he spoke in a very gentle voice. Anyway, United Nations High Commission for Refugees managed to get us out on that last plane that was leaving Uganda on the night of the deadline, 9th November 1972. My parents waited 3 days in that line to get on that plane. They had initially organised for us to go to Austria and Belgium, but the planes were full, so we ended up in Spain. My brother Marajdin became the first refugee baby in Spain to be born there.
Idi Amin wanted us to get rid of us. We travelled from Gulu to Kampala. On the way, we were stopped 3 times at a gunpoint, pulling my children, 4-year-old and 3-year-old, and my wife, all out at a gunpoint. And they took everything from us In the end, we reached Kampala. When I went to the passport office in Kampala, they took away my passport and said, "You are not a citizen. Lie down." They made me lie down with a gunpoint on my bed.
My work has been for the last 22 years in the Northern Territory on Pintabee, Yolno and Aranda lands, and that's been the most satisfying aspect of life in Australia. Though it did begin with an initial response of extreme fear when I first encountered remote and traditional living First Nation peoples. This essentially triggered those fears and memories of condos and the community violence of Uganda. But that was soon surpassed, like within 48 hours, by the extreme sense of coming home, the comfortable lifestyle of Uganda, and being with people who shared a very similar familial relationship structure and climate, the red earth and the simplicity of my childhood life. It has provided me with the memories of the beauty of Uganda and the gratefulness for living in Australia with its political stability and safety.
I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Ashak Nathwani, AM, the Chairman of the Steering Committee, the members of the Steering Committee that are here, my very good friend Simon Chan, who is both a member of the Multicultural New South Wales Advisory Board and also a member of the fundraising board, the foundation for this museum. Thank you, Steering Committee, for asking me to launch this book. Such a surprise and a privilege and a great honour. It's really important these stories are shared. So now, after that very long speech, and thank you for your indulgence, I'm so delighted to launch 50-year journey, Australians from Uganda, tales of trials, tribulations and triumphs.
Welcome to the Australian National Maritime Museum. It's Australia's Museum of the Sea. Visitors are always surprised to discover that we are in fact Australia's only national migration museum. Migration is one of the key pillars of the museum's charter, and the collection and presentation of stories of migrants to these countries is one of the most important responsibilities of the museum. Sharing these stories builds knowledge, understanding, and empathy. And this contributes to both understanding and social cohesion. I would like now to introduce you to Matt Lee, Manager of VIP Relations, who would like to make a presentation to Ashak on behalf of the museum. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I don't know how many of you have been to the museum before, but behind you is HMAS Onslow. Now, this is an Oberon-class submarine. Now, we're one of the very few places in the world that has a submarine that's actually in the water that you can actually go on. Some places have submarines that are sort of on the side, but to be actually in the water, we're very lucky to have one. And it's one of the major draw cards of being here at the National Maritime Museum, is being able to go onto our submarine. But floating submarines, they're basically just big black metal boxes, and they're not designed for Australian summers. During the summer, they get very, very hot. It's like being literally an oven. And when it gets really hot, we have to shut our submarine. Otherwise, we're sort of like boiling our volunteers and our visitors, which isn't a good look. And so it's thanks to Ashak and his family's generous generosity and gift that has enabled a brand new, specifically designed air conditioning system to be installed in our submarine, which has enabled us to keep the submarine open longer, so we do not have to shut it if it gets too hot, and it allows many more visitors to experience our submarine. So we want to thank Ashak, Amin, and Ruhana Nathwani for their generosity and in honour of Samin Nathwani. And on behalf of the museum and in acknowledgement of this generous gift, we would like to present Ashak, who has one of the best smiles and best laughs that I've ever met, with a token of our appreciation. So, thank you so much, Ashak.
It is now my pleasure to invite to the podium our Australians from Uganda 50 Steering Committee Chairman, Ashak Nathwani AM. Some of you may not know this, Ashak arrived in Australia on the 10th of October 1972 at 5 p.m. and 50 years later, to the day and indeed to the hour, this coming Monday, the 10th of October 2022 at 5 p.m, Ashak is going to be awarded his PhD at the graduation ceremony in the University of Sydney. That's a truly serendipitous ceremony that has to go down at the 21st century. Congratulations and welcome, Dr.
Thank you very much. I was deeply touched by the acknowledgement afforded to me and my family by the management of the museum. Thank you very much. This will remain definitely as one of the treasured mementos. I'd also like to thank the management and staff of the museum for all your support and assistance, and particularly to the catering staff. Thank you so much. I would like to extend my gratitude to my committee members for their hard work. Arif Panjwani, Amita Patel, Chandrakant Shah couldn't be here, but he's represented by his brother Ramdik, Kiran Patke, Lynette Gomes, Sinsaira Hadwani, who is selling the books. Thank you all for the contributions to the stories, and to Sarita Gold and Kate Oliver, who are responsible for the design of that book. Thank you. My special thanks go to our major donor. He happens to be my eldest brother, Darling Nanji Nathwani, and the Nanji Family Foundation. He's based in Canada. And I'd like to acknowledge the great philanthropic work that the foundation is doing. I also thank Dr. Kiran Patke, as well as many of you who have contributed towards the cost of the function and of the publishing of the book, because it is subsidized. I thank you all for coming and making this occasion a memorable commemoration. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and hopefully the fireworks as well. Thank you for coming.